Have you ever wondered what happens when the ones sworn to protect and serve become the ones we need protection from? Today we delve into the shocking truth behind police corruption, taking you on a chronological journey through the scandal involving Wayne Jenkins and the gun trace task force in Baltimore. How does a high-ranking police officer become the face of one of the biggest police corruption scandals in American history? This is the story of Wayne Jenkins, a name that once echoed with respect in the corridors of the Baltimore Police Department. Wayne Jenkins was a figure of authority, a man whose badge was thought to be a symbol of justice. As a member of the gun trace task force, Jenkins was part of an elite group entrusted with the responsibility of tracing illegal firearms and reducing violent crime in the city. The gun trace task force, on paper, was a beacon of hope for a city riddled with crime. Its mission was clear: to dismantle criminal networks, to make Baltimore's streets safer, and to bring justice to those who evaded it. Jenkins, with his charisma and dedication, quickly rose through the ranks, becoming an influential figure within the task force. His reputation as a fearless crime fighter only added to his aura, painting him as a hero in the battle against crime. But beneath this veneer of respectability and duty, a different reality was taking shape. This gun trace task force, rather than curbing crime, was feeding it. The mission to protect and serve was lost in a maze of greed and corruption. The very officer sworn to uphold the law was bending it, twisting it for personal gain. The story of Wayne Jenkins is not just the tale of a fallen hero. It's an indictment of a system that allowed unchecked power to fester, a system that turned a blind eye to the warning signs until it was too late. The intentions of the gun trace task force were noble, but their actions were anything but. But Jenkins and his team were not the crime fighters they were made out to be. They were, in fact, criminals themselves. The veil began to lift on the gun trace task force's activities when an explosive corruption trial revealed shocking truths. The trial, like Pandora's box, unveiled a series of crimes committed by the very individuals tasked with upholding the law. The allegations were damning. The planting of fake guns, theft, unwarranted home raids, and even drug dealings were alleged. The revelations painted a picture of a rogue squad that had turned the streets of Baltimore into their personal fiefdom. One of the most chilling revelations was the use of fake guns. Officers from the Gun Trace Task Force, or GTTF, carried these toys, ready to plant them on innocent people should the unthinkable happen, and an unarmed suspect be shot. This was a calculated, premeditated strategy, a chilling example of their complete disregard for the law and the rights of the individuals they were meant to protect and serve. The trial also exposed a web of theft and corruption. Officers were accused of robbing suspects, taking their belongings as personal trophies. Homes were raided without warrants. The sanctity of private property trampled under the boots of these rogue officers. It was as if the Constitution had been thrown out of the window, replaced by a lawless Wild West. To add to this, the GTTF was not just stealing from suspects, but dealing in drugs too. The unit that was supposed to fight the drug menace was ironically found to be a part of it. The officers were accused of selling confiscated drugs, making a mockery of their mission and the trust placed in them by the community. The testimonies that emerged during the trial were instrumental in exposing these crimes. One such testimony came from Detective Maurice Ward, whose revelation sent shockwaves through the courtroom. His words painted a vivid picture of the GTTF's activities, putting a face to the anonymous victims of their crimes. The extent of the corruption was staggering, but the worst was yet to come. The trial was just the beginning. As the investigations continued, the scale and depth of the corruption would become even more apparent, shaking the foundations of the Baltimore Police Department and sparking a public outcry for justice and accountability. As the trial progressed, the depth of Jenkins's involvement in these criminal activities became horrifyingly clear. Wayne Jenkins, the man at the helm of the Gun Trace Task Force, was not just a participant, but the driving force behind the corruption that rocked the Baltimore Police Department. His role as the leader of the GTTF was not so much about fighting crime, but orchestrating it, and his methods were shockingly audacious. Jenkins was the puppeteer, controlling the strings of corruption that extended deep into the unit. He directed his officers to commit a range of crimes, from theft to drug dealing and even extortion, but perhaps the most shocking revelation was his directive for officers to carry fake guns. These were not tools for protection or deterrence, but props in a twisted game of deception. They were to be planted on innocent people, a chilling insurance policy in case they shot an unarmed suspect. This was not just a rogue officer with a disregard for the law. This was a calculated, systemic approach to corruption, led by a man who was supposed to uphold the law and protect the people. Jenkins had created an environment where corruption was not just tolerated, but encouraged, where the line between criminals and law enforcement was blurred beyond recognition. His actions were not just illegal, they were a betrayal of the trust placed in him by the community he was sworn to serve. They undermined the credibility of the entire Baltimore Police Department, casting a long shadow of doubt over those who wear the badge. As the trial unfolded, the truth about Wayne Jenkins came to light. Piece by damning piece, the man who was once seen as a respected officer was now revealed as a criminal. He was the orchestrator of one of the most scandalous police corruption cases in Baltimore's history. His fall from grace was a stark reminder of the devastating impact of corruption, not just on the individuals involved, but on the very fabric of our society. Jenkins, once a respected officer, was now exposed as the orchestrator of one of the most scandalous police corruption cases in Baltimore's history. The fallout from the scandal was profound, shaking the foundations of the Baltimore Police Department and beyond. The truth that emerged from the courtroom was a stark revelation of the depth of corruption within the Gun Trace Task Force. Its leader, Wayne Jenkins, along with other members, were convicted, their actions leaving an indelible stain on the integrity of law enforcement. Jenkins was handed a 25-year prison sentence, a punitive measure that reflected the magnitude of his transgressions. His cohorts, too, found themselves on the receiving end of justice. Their collective downfall was a blow to the Baltimore Police Department, a force already grappling with issues of trust and accountability. The aftermath of the scandal was far-reaching. The public outcry was deafening, with voices rising in unison, demanding increased oversight and accountability within the Baltimore Police Department. The city's residents, once trusting and supportive, now viewed the police with skepticism and wariness. The department in turn was forced to confront the deep-rooted issues of corruption within its ranks, issues that had been exacerbated by a history of abuse and racial disparities. Yet the implications of the scandal extended well beyond Baltimore. It was a wake-up call for other elite police units across the country. These specialized crime squads, formed to combat criminal activities, found themselves under scrutiny. The scandal shed light on a pattern of abuse and misconduct reminiscent of the GTTF transgressions. High-profile cases of police brutality involving units like the Memphis Scorpion Squad and the Place-Based Investigations Unit in Louisville, Kentucky, added fuel to the fire, raising concerns about their flawed model and impact on communities. In the end, the Wayne Jenkins scandal served as a chilling testament to the potential for corruption within the very institutions entrusted with our protection. It became a haunting reminder of the delicate balance between maintaining law and order and preserving the fundamental rights of the citizens. The journey to rebuild trust and restore integrity is a long one, and it starts with acknowledging past mistakes, learning from them, and taking measures to prevent their recurrence. The Wayne Jenkins scandal serves as a haunting reminder of the potential for corruption within the very institutions entrusted with our protection. Be on the lookout for another video coming soon. Stay ready and be safe out there, people.